I'm Pam Seatle on Strawn Avenue. Yesterday's weather was no treat for anybody who had to be out in it if you were a pedestrian, taking public transit, and maybe especially if you had to be on the roads. Not surprisingly, one issue that thousands of drivers had to face yesterday was a dead car battery thanks to the cold. And what do thousands of people do if they are confronted with this? Well, if you're a member, you call CAA. But CAA South Central Ontario was faced with a record number of calls yesterday, and it meant many people were stuck waiting for help for hours. What was your total wait time from start to finish?
The first phone call went in at 9 p.m. and I did not get it started until 5 a.m. Then I drove around for about an hour.
She is not alone. We heard from other members who waited 10 or more hours, and when they tried to call to get a sense of when help would arrive, got put on hold for more than 3 hours. Anne used CAA's interactive map to track her driver. It told her he was 8 minutes away at 3 a.m., but suddenly she couldn't see his progress.
When the guy disappeared off my interactive map, I had no idea how long it was going to be. Then I phoned them back again. And then they said, well, he's been rerouted to an emergency, which I think is very important. I wouldn't want to be stranded on the side of a highway. Right. It's the communication.
CAA understands people's frustration. They were swamped with calls last night. On a normal winter day, they receive an average of 4,000 calls. Yesterday, they got 32,000. And while they had their full roster of 900 drivers on the road, they simply couldn't keep up. Normally, the average wait time is 40 minutes. Yesterday, it was 2 hours. They admit that 8 to 10 hours is unacceptable.
10-hour wait is absolutely much longer than we would ever expect anybody to wait, and it certainly does not meet our standards. We will be reaching out proactively to members who experience longer than acceptable wait times to make sure that we can make it right with them. The demand was just overwhelming. We absolutely did our best to get to people as quickly and safely as possible. What we tend to try to do during extreme circumstances like yesterday is prioritize people who are out on the roadside, on highways, 400 series highways, things like that. Really with keeping that member safety top of mind, we want to make sure that everybody gets home safely.
Don't forget, CAA is not the only game in town if you need a boost. A basic membership to CAA costs $80 a year and gets you 4 calls. You can also call a tow truck, which will do it for around $80. Some, although very few, cab companies will do a boost for $20 to $25. Or if you opt for your dealer's roadside assistance, that usually runs about $90 a year. Well, maybe you, like me, actually prefers the idea of self-sufficiency, and there are a couple of options to that end. There are, of course, your basic jumper cables. You need another car for that, so you can't do that all by yourself. But I also just picked this up from Canadian Tire, which is a battery booster, and that really does make you completely self-sufficient. You can hook it up to your battery, turn it on, and the idea is that your battery will get charged. And right now I am joined by Wayne Wong. He is the owner of Spadina Auto Service. And tell me what you think. Now, you don't necessarily recommend people boosting their own batteries.
Well, not really, unless you really know what you're doing, right? And sometimes, even though you do boost up the battery, you don't really know if that's the only reason the car doesn't run.
Right.
The worst case is you boost it up, and you drive it, and it still dies in the middle of the road.
Can you hurt your engine? If you do a boost properly, you're not going to damage your engine, right?
Well, if you do it properly, then you shouldn't. But with these high-end electronic cars, I don't really recommend trying to do it yourself unless it's your last resort.
Oh, right.
Leave it up to the professional.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
now,
yeah. But if you're stuck, then you're stuck, yeah.
What do you think of that? Does that seem like
that seems like a decent thing,
useful?
Yeah, it's very useful, yeah. These ones are good.
Like, that's not going to malfunction in the cold just like the jumper cables can, right?
Well, these, actually, when you charge these ones up properly, and they do recommend it, that you recharge these things every time you use it, every month or every couple of months,
right,
and keep it alive, so that when you do need it, you have the power to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that at least helps. Yeah. It helps if the battery on your car is not totally dead.
Right, yes,
it just depends on the situations every time. So.
Okay, so we know this is a last resort, but everybody should know how to do it,
Basic
right?
stuff, yeah, just the basics if you're stuck.
So, Wayne, tell me what to do first. Now, we turned off
the car.
Our City News car, because that's the idea, that's the right way to do it. You don't want to do it while it's still
alive,
on.
Yeah, you hook up the proper stuff first.
And you start with putting the red
cables.
wire, the red cable
Yeah.
onto the dead
Battery
red
first. Yeah.
battery.
So
okay.
identify. So what you do is first of all, at least identify on the dead car which one, and carefully look for the logos, and they'll say positive or negative, right? So usually
the red.
The red is the positive. So you
Right.
go red first.
So we can do this.
And okay. And usually when
There.
you're doing this, try not to put your face over the battery, because just in case something goes wrong, you're not endangering yourself. So try to stay away from the battery.
Okay. The thing that makes me the most
Yeah.
nervous is the idea of
Yes.
touching the two.
Absolutely,
so
yes.
You've got to be really careful not to touch them, right?
So
Okay.
you would put the other one under the negative.
Oh, I thought you were supposed to do
Not yet, not yet.
the other one
yeah,
first.
one at a
Okay.
time. I would probably connect.
Connect them both? Okay.
I would always connect the live
both?
battery
Okay.
last.
Okay.
So always connect the dead battery first.
Dead battery
so now
first.
you're going
Okay,
carefully
so
to the
now
other car again.
I don't want to touch
So you
this.
identify, yep, very carefully. So you're going to be very careful. Now you're going to unhook this guy. Now here's your positive.
Okay, here's my positive.
Yeah, try to hook it
Very
up.
obvious.
Yep. And try to keep your face away from the actual battery.
That's going to stay, I think.
Yep, yep. You try that.
And
It's not
This
as
guy?
easy. Yep, this guy. All right, wiggle it a little bit tighter. Make sure they're tight. The most important that they're snugly tight. Right?
Okay.
Right, there we go. Now you get to start the car up.
okay.
The good car.
All right.
And hopefully this works. That's all
Okay.
started. Everything's good.
One down. Let's see
One
how
down.
this goes.
So now
All
I'm going
right.
to get into this car. And I'm going to try and see this one starts. Make sure it's connected.
Okay.
Get the lights and everything.
Go ahead.
And see if it's alive. So it's a little bit dead still, which is fine. It's fine. It happens all the
Wait,
time.
try it again.
So you try to connections again, Pam.
Yeah.
Even that's not working. So the connections are not good enough. No. The connections are not good enough.
Fail, fail, fail. Should I try and just readjust
I'm gonna try.
it?
I think it's your car. I'm gonna try your car because not everything works perfectly. That's why boosting is not as simple as you think it is. I'm gonna try this. So this might not be connected properly.
Okay.
Let me try
You
that
know what?
again.
We're going to work on this. And we're going to come back with a positive result a little later in the show.
Nothing's easy. Let me see this thing.